Welcome in, guys. I am back to recap the NFL Week 1. Football was back this past weekend, and we started off with a Thursday night game. We had the Bills versus the Rams. The Rams, the reigning defending Super Bowl champions. They looked very good in the offseason. I talked about it a couple of days ago. The Bills, who I think are going to be really good contenders this year. This was a really good primetime game. Bills versus Rams, and then it started off with a touchdown from Davis to make it 6-0 in the first, then a field goal to make it 7-0 in the first. Then it was 10-0 in the second. Cooper Kupp got the Rams back in the game to make it 10-6, and then 10-7 in the second. With a field goal, then a 10-10 in the second with a field goal. McKenzie touchdown in the third to make it 16-10, and then a field goal to make it 17-10 in the third, 24-10 in the fourth, and then 31-10. And the Bills, look, if you looked at the teams, you're like, the Bills maybe last year, if they beat Mahomes last year, they should have been champions because they would have beaten Bengals in that game. But in this game, they dominated the Rams, and the Rams looked mid. Stafford looked mid. Allen Robinson hasn't changed. Like he's gone from playing Bears football to playing Rams football. He isn't champion Rams football yet. He's just Rams football. That's all it is. It's just Rams. It's the same Allen Robinson that's been in Chicago for 4 years, and he's brought that Matt Nagy play calling into LA, and he's like, we're playing Bears football. We're not playing Rams football. We're championship winning football with a great team. We're playing Bears football because that's what I know. What I know best. Then we had the Bengals versus the Steelers, and I look at this game. I'm pissed with them Bengals. I had them in my picks to go over. They didn't even win the game. All the chances they had in overtime to win the damn game, and they never damn won the game. I'm pissed about it. But let's talk about it. Even damn Mitch Trubisky, they lost the game to Mitch Trubisky as the starting quarterback, for God's sake. Let's talk about it. We had Burrow, who again was mid in this game. The offensive line was mid again. If you want to win a Super Bowl and get back to being in a Super Bowl and don't wait another 30 plus years again, you cannot be doing shit like this where your offensive line is not protecting your quarterback. He had 6 sacks. This was the big problem last year with Burrow not having that offensive line to protect him, and you're having the same problem. And he had 6 sacks in the opening game. This is a team that was second last year in the Super Bowl, that was minutes away from winning a Super Bowl for the first time in your history. And then you go and invest heavily on that offensive line, and they still are. He's still getting 6 sacked 6 times in the game. And then it was 0-7 from Fitzpatrick. He intercepts a bad play call from Burrow, and it was 0-7. Then it's 10-3 with a field goal that gets the Bengals back in the game. And Harris with a touchdown in the second to make it 16-3 in the second. Then 17-7 in the second. And then it was 6-17 in the second. Then touchdown in the third with a third and goal by Tyler Boyd to make it 12-17. A 2-point conversion by Thomas to make it 14-17. Chris Boswell field goal to make it 20-14 in the fourth. Then Jamar Chase with a second and goal touchdown in the fourth to make it 20-20, going to overtime. McPherson misses a field goal, then Boswell misses a field goal. Like, who the fuck is gonna win this game? Like, does nobody want to win this game? Then, another bit of news before I talk about the game. Mixon had. I heard reports online. I don't know. I haven't checked today, but Mixon, they were speculating he may have a concussion, but he was still back on the field, so I don't think it was that major of an injury. And then Boswell wins in overtime with a field goal to make it 23-20 to the Steelers. Then we had the Patriots versus the Dolphins. This was a division game, and I'm excited to see the Dolphins this year. There's no excuse for Tua this year. That Tua has the weapons around him. He has a Tyreek Hill. The offensive line has been heavily invested in, so there's no excuse now for Tua. It's up to Tua if he's the dude or not. If Tua fails this year, it's on him. It's on him. It's not on Mike McDaniels. it's on him because he's had the investment this time. He's not with that idiot Brian Flores. And then I look at the Patriots and I'm like, Bill Belichick, the head coach, is one of the greatest head coaches of my lifetime, of all time. Like, he's up there with a Lombardi and shit like that. But Bill Belichick, the GM, stop making draft picks. Stop being the GM and the head coach. Right? You've got to be one or the other. And I think you're better being the head coach than the GM. Get somebody who is actually good at their job at the GM role to do that. Not you picking who you want. Because again, you're doing great with the shit you've had, but you're making the shit happen. You're bringing in shit that isn't working for you in your system. And then you have a 43-yard field goal to the 0-7 in the first. A fumble from one of the Patriots. Touchdown from Morgan in the second to 0-10. In the second, 4th and 7 from Jalen Waddle to make it 0-17. And then it was Sanders with a field goal to get the Patriots back in the game to make it 7-20. And that's how the game ended. It was a really bad start for the Patriots, and I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs this year. Again, they're probably going to be 0-3, 0-4. Again, the Patriots, this could be a dark season for them. Then we have the Ravens versus the Jets. We have a field goal in the first, make it 3-0 to the Ravens. Touchdown by Diary in third and 5 to make it 10-0 in the second. Field goal by the Jets to make it 10-3, and then Bateman to make it 24-3 in the third, and then Tyler Coring in the fourth to make it 24-9, and that's how. That was the Ravens win for the Ravens, and I do like the Ravens' roster. They have David Ajobi, which is a good acquisition. I know that they got him kind of late on, and with his knee injury, they got him a couple of spots later on, but he's a good acquisition. When he gets back from that knee injury, I think he's going to be really good in this team. And then we have the Saints versus the Falcons. Desmond Ridder did not start as a quarterback. You had Hill who had a touchdown in the first, make it 7-3 in the first. You had Patterson to make it 7-10 in the second, and then a field goal by the Falcons to make it 7-17, 7-16. A Lutz 49-yard field goal to make it 10-16 in the third. Then Mike Thomas touchdown in the first, make it 16-26. Chris Olave came on, he was drafted. He got a 2-pointer for the Saints to make it 18-26, and then Thomas with a second touchdown of the game to make it 24-26 to the Saints. Then we have the Browns versus the Panthers. Again, Brissett was the starting quarterback because we know that Deshaun Watson isn't going to be playing for the next couple of weeks. So we had a touchdown by Hunt to make it 7-0 in the first. And then Hunt again to get his second touchdown of the game to make it 14-0 in the second. McCaffrey had the touchdown to get the Panthers back in the game, 14-7. Fourth and goal from the Browns to make it 17-7 in the second. Cade York, who was drafted this past year, got a field goal to make it 20-7 in the third. Baker Mayfield against his old team scored a touchdown to make it 20-14 in the fourth, and then it was 23-24 with a field goal from the Panthers, and then York had a field goal to make it 26-24, and the Browns win the opening game. Then we have the Jags versus the Commanders. This is Doug Pearson's first. This is Doug Pearson's first head coaching job in like 2 years. And again, I look at this Jags team from Urban Myers and from Doug Pearson, and you can see even though they lost, but they gave a good competitive game to the Commanders. And I'm not saying that they're going to be playoff contenders of Jazz, but at least he's getting his team playing well, and they're not losing by. He's giving them some team spirit and stuff like that, which I like. The Commanders, I did say beginning of the season I was worried about them, but again they won against the Jags 22-28. Then we had the 49ers versus the Bears. It was Bears football. It was bear weather, and and it was the Bears' first home game with Matt Eberflus as the head coach. You had Trey Lance as the starting quarterback. He started the game, and again I'm pissed about this because again I had the 49ers to win this. Again they lose 10-19 to the Bears. You had Debo Samuel with 7-0 in the second, field goal from the 49ers in the third to make it 10-0. Then the Bears come back with Dante to make it 10-7, and then the Bears come back again with St. Brown to make it 10-17. Eddie Jackson interception. Eddie Jackson had a good game in the second half. Khalil Herbert got the final touchdown to make it 10-19 to the Bears, and the Matt Eberflus' Bears football starts. And then we have the Colts versus Texans. Matt Ryan's Colts versus Lovie Smith's Texans. It started 3-0 to the Colts, and then a 3-3 in the second with a field goal from the Texans. And then O.J. Howard, who got signed to the Texans a couple of days ago before even the season started, it was 3-10 in the second, field goal from the Texans to make it 7-13. O.J. Howard had 2 touchdowns. He had a good game in this game. He made that 3-20 in the third, and then it was Jonathan Taylor, who had a good season last year, continued that again to make it 13-20. Then Matt Pittman had a touchdown to make in the first and 10 to make it 20-20, and then another tied, and then it went to a tie game. I had the predictions of the Colts. That's to the Colts for actually fucking up my pick. I said not the Colts. I said the Texans were gonna win. Then we have the Eagles versus the Lions. I was really impressed with the Lions, even though they lost. I was really impressed with them because if this was beginning of last year, they would have lost this game 7-38. But what I like about this, even though that the Lions don't have a fucking good quarterback, you've got some good offensive guys, wide receivers, and like St. Brown and stuff like that, and Jameis Williams, who got drafted in this past draft. But if we had a good quarterback, then we could challenge a Vikings or a Bears to that second place. But the Eagles, they did. I was really impressed with AJ Green. AJ Green had a really good game. Jalen Hurts, he had an okay game, but AJ Green had a really good game. And then the game ended 38-35. It was a good game. And then we had the Titans versus the Giants, 21-20. This was a upset, but Brian Daboll got his first win as head coach, 21-20. Good win for the Giants. Then we have the Packers versus the Vikings. Kevin O'Connell's first game as a head coach. Kevin O'Connell got the win over Green Bay, 7-23. Then the Chiefs versus the Cardinals. I said in my preview video a couple of days ago that they're going to kind of regress, the Cardinals, and it looks like they have. James Conner had a good game. He started off where he finished last season with his first rushing touchdown of the year, and that ended 44-21 to the Chiefs. Then we have the Cowboys versus the Bucks, which was 3-19 again. Cowboys, they're the Bears of the 1990s. They lived off past glories. Then we have the Raiders versus the Chargers. Khalil Mack made his debut for the Chargers, 19-24. And then tonight's game, it was a big one. It was Russell Wilson versus Pete Carroll, two guys that have been synonymous with Seattle, and they won the championship together, whatever. And it ended 16-17. Joe Buck was on commentary, and that was that.